Welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Leavitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or go ahead, if you have any other questions during the show, leave an open mic inside the WDBO app. You can also check out the website at refreshcomputers.net or stop at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and if you're listening to the show here on Saturday, it means you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now, David Leavitt and Adam Littlefield.
All right, Greg, thank you, everybody, for listening to another edition of Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. So happy to be with you if you're listening on Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. or Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And if you happen to miss any of this show or you want to recap some of the stuff we talk about today, because it's going to be a really cool show, you can listen to us on our podcast by clicking on the podcast link on our website, refreshcomputers.net, and listen to this show in its entirety. So today, Adam, we're going to talk about, I guess, the iPhone's going on a diet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're looking at a really, really thin iPhone this year coming from Apple.
So they just debuted this, right?
Yeah, just a couple days ago, yeah.
So it's a new, they have the MacBook Air, they had the iPad Air, now they're making the iPhone Air. So whenever I hear Air from Apple, I'm thinking, okay, this is their watered-down, cheap version.
That's exactly what I think of, yeah.
Is that the case with the new iPhone 17 Air?
No, actually, the new iPhone 17 Air, this phone's going to have pretty much the same internals as the 17 Pro Max that they're releasing.
But it's thinner.
It's thinner, way thinner. We're talking about 5 millimeters thin, around that size. And I think that's actually the thinnest smartphone on the market right now.
And it's pretty cool. You did a 3D print of one.
Well, just a little model one, yeah.
We're looking at it right now, and unfortunately you can't see it. But I don't know. Would you have this at the store?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it at the store if anybody wants to see it.
Somebody wants to come and look and see what it's going to look like and how thin it really is. You can come stop by the store and ask Adam, and he'll be glad to show you, I'm sure. But, man, that's thin.
That is thin. What's starting to really surprise me with Apple now is they're really going on the idea of portability and just really slimming things down, being minimal, you know? And what I've been seeing now with their new phone boards is the new iPhone Air. Most of the board, the control board, is basically, it can fit almost next to the camera. We were looking at the camera bump earlier.
Yeah.
That area next to the camera, it almost can fit the whole main board just right there, and the rest can be battery.
Well, I think I'm still using like an iPhone 13 Pro Max is what my version is. And it's almost twice as thick.
Yeah.
We put these up side by side. Almost twice as thick as the iPhone 17 Air. And the camera, it shocked me because, on my phone, there's like 3 lenses. These 3 big.
In like a square shape,
yeah. Well, they're all round, but inside a square housing, if you will. But the iPhone 17 Air only has one of those.
Yeah, so they've opted out from doing an ultra-wide angle lens on it.
That's why. Okay.
A super high resolution.
Macro, maybe?
Yeah, the macro I think they took out as well. This is just the regular lens and a flash in a large, almost pixel-style bump. If you've seen a Google Pixel phone before, the camera bump on those is almost just a rectangular bump on the back.
Wow, pretty soon it's just going to be a hologram.
Yeah.
It's not even going to be a phone. It's
right,
just
the rest
something
of it's going to roll out
hand.
from the bottom of the camera.
You just throw it up in front of your face, and it's right there.
And, it's interesting to think about that, actually, because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the tech that's going into this 17 Air, how small the mainboard is. Apple, if they really wanted to, they could probably make some set of AR glasses that almost contain the power of an iPhone. I think that could be possible in a couple of years.
I see that possible now, probably.
You've seen the Apple Vision Pro, that bulky VR set they have?
Yeah.
I could see them taking just an iPhone's internals and squeezing it into a pair of glasses.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. But I have to wonder also about the battery in that really thin phone.
Yeah,
did they advertise what the battery life was?
They said
did they even
was,
talk about it?
So they said it was 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and that's basically smaller than most phones on the market right now. I think the regular one, the iPhone 17 had about like 3,200 milliamp hours. And Apple is still saying you're going to get a full day's charge off of that smaller battery for the iPhone 17 Air, which I'm having kind of a little bit of trouble believing, especially when you start putting kind of real-world dynamics into it, because when they do these testings on the battery, they're in a very controlled environment, running a very specific thing for, until the phone basically shuts off.
Well, a lot of that's supposed to be in favor of the A19, the new processor that they're putting in there, right? So it's supposed to be so much more efficient at battery use, and it's supposed to be able to shut down and restart and rework all of these different programs in a much more efficient manner to maintain that battery. Is what their big promotion has been so far, right?
Yeah, and especially with the A19 processor that they're putting in these new phones, which, again, this shocked me when I was looking at the numbers a couple days ago, was that the A19 is actually outperforming most desktop CPUs now as far as performance goes. Speed, performance, even battery life. A lot of the processors that are used in laptops, for example, the A19 could easily outbeat that.
And let's be clear, that's Apple's processor. That's not a third-party processor.
Yeah, I know a couple years ago when I heard Apple was going to start making their own silicon and all their own processors, I'm just like, oh, this is a fluke. It's gonna die in a year. And they're actually kind of really showing to be a big rival in the processor space now.
Hey, and we're going to talk about MacBooks also that they also were talking about. But before we get there, how does the iPhone 17 Air compare to the iPhone 17 Pro? Or I guess they make the Pro, the Pro Max. Do you know how they compare at all? I mean, how long has the Pro been out? Is it already out?
No, so all of
Pro
these
coming out. That's all coming out now.
It's all coming up. I believe September 19th. I think that's when they're going to start. You're going to start receiving devices. I think they were available September 12th for pre-order. But the comparing the Air to the 17 Pro Max internally, besides the battery size, they're almost the same power. These two phones, they're very similar devices as far as just the sizes go. The Air has a little bit of a smaller screen, and what I actually thought was a little bit funny was the diminished battery size of the Air. Apple is actually going to be selling an expandable battery that basically magnetizes to the back and uses the wireless charging to expand the battery size.
Did they announce that too just now?
Yeah, they were talking about that.
So like a magnetic battery pack,
yeah,
if
basically,
you will?
yeah.
So it's going to be an Apple branded
exactly
battery pack, because you can go on Amazon or eBay or anywhere now and find
third-party ones.
The third-party ones.
Yeah. And I even had one when I had an iPhone. I had one of the rudimentary ones that always was charging the phone 24/7. So the iPhone I had at that time, the battery started swelling probably within half a year.
Yeah,
it was bad.
They don't like that.
No, they don't at all. So I'm wondering how Apple, one, is going to fight that, the whole thing of overcharging the battery, constantly trying to keep it at 100%. But also wireless charging. To me, wireless charging is something that when you wirelessly charge a device, it gets pretty warm, because it creates a lot of just heat from the way that the energy transfers. I don't know how it's going to be putting two batteries back to back with a magnet in the middle that's transferring energy and heat into a device.
Actually, I have that now on my iPhone 13 Pro. So I have it's inside a battery case that also accepts the wireless charger.
Okay.
So, but I don't use my battery case, to your point, Greg. It's not on all the time, because that's going to kill your battery in your iPhone. I only turn it on when my iPhone battery goes dead or pretty close to dead. I'll turn on the case, but I can also touch it, with the magnetically attach it to the wireless charger, and it charges both my phone and the case.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how that works. So that's pretty cool.
For my Samsung device, for example, I actually bought an aftermarket MagSafe adapter that basically just goes on the back of my case, and it lets me use MagSafe wireless charging that just magnetizes on there and it charges the phone. But on Samsung's level, as far as I've seen, when you do that, it's either all or nothing. You don't really have a way of telling it to turn on or turn off. So I think that's actually pretty cool to see that case, Dave, that you have. That, I think, entirely curbs the issue of destroying the battery by trying to keep it at 100%.
Right, yeah, and that's a good point. And Greg, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you have a battery case, you don't want it on all the time.
No, definitely not.
No, you just leave it, only turn it on when you need to have it on to charge your battery. As if, just think like, okay, well, it's just a portable way of me plugging my phone in to get charged. When the battery's dead. That's when you should be using the battery cases. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of other Apple products.
Yeah.
They also made an announcement about the new Mac operating system coming out.
They did talk about that. Mac OS Tahoe, I believe, is the new one.
I like the names of their operating systems.
I do too. They've got a naming scheme that just kind of hooks me, even though I don't like their products that much.
I prefer it over Androids, where they were always like, there was like ice cream sandwich,
ice
and
cream
like
and Oreo, Kit Kat.
Sweets. Go ahead and give me something powerful and strong, not a dessert.
So the current operating system is Sequoia.
Yes.
Right? And then so that's going away, and Mac OS Tahoe is being released September 15th.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's actually going to feature the new liquid glass design that Apple's been going with. The soft rounded edges, everything looks a little more transparent. It almost reminds me of an older Windows version.
Much more difficult to repair.
Yes, definitely, as all of their devices tend to go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and one of the things that Apple does that I don't appreciate, and every year they come out with a new operating system.
Yes,
every year,
every single one.
Now you look at Windows; they've had Windows. Windows 10 has been around for 12 years.
Yeah,
and so then now Windows 11's been around for a couple of years. And by the way, if you haven't upgraded to Windows 11. And you have a machine that can take Windows 11, you need to go ahead and get that upgraded. If you need help, you can give us a call.
Yeah.
Free tech support hotline, 407-478-8200. But back to the operating systems from Apple changing every year. Why I don't like that? Because what Apple does every year when they do that is they knock off another level or two of older devices that can no longer take the new operating system. So it kind of forces people to upgrade their computer if they want the latest and greatest operating system.
Exactly.
The planned obsolescence model.
It is definitely, it's been that way for years and years. And don't you know Dell and HP and Lenovo and Ace, all the PC manufacturers that operate off of Microsoft Windows, don't you know that they're pressing Microsoft all the time to do something similar? And I think Microsoft is probably listening. So, hopefully that's not going to be something we have to look forward to if you're using a Windows-based machine in the near future, the planned obsolescence.
See, I know with Apple as well, they really preach the idea of privacy. Their whole wall garden design, right?
Right.
That all of their devices inner talk. That's it. That's how Apple is. They want privacy. It really just. I like the idea of older devices slowly being pushed out because I've seen some Macs still in use from, say, around 2006, 2008 that are not supported anymore that people are still using, and they are just machines that I would tell you are held together by spit and toothpicks.
Well, and it's true, but I kind of agree with you. I kind of don't agree with you, and the reason I wouldn't agree with that is because, they're still very useful machines in a lot of cases. Yeah. The reason I would agree with you, though, is that your computer's also dependent on other manufacturers of stuff, including software, like QuickBooks and stuff like that, and your banking software and all these different games and stuff that you might play. And so those manufacturers of the software and also peripherals that plug into your computer or laptop, they have to constantly be updating to handle the later operating system. Yeah. And so they can't possibly be, they could, but it would be probably cost prohibitive for them to keep maintaining devices and drivers for devices that for older and older machines, because now they're like Microsoft, right? They don't want to maintain Windows 10 machines and Windows 11 machines. They just don't want to do that.
There's
can't
a
really blame
involved.
them in a way, because that's why they get rid of the older operating systems, because everything kind of catches up to it.
Yeah.
And we'll continue this talk on this planned obsolescence idea from Apple. If you need a new Apple product, it's going to come out within the year, and you're probably going to need to upgrade. So it's one of those things to always keep in mind when you go into a new line of products, especially when it comes to computing and smartphones these days. We'll continue this conversation coming up next. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO, 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Leavitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline over at 407-478-8200. Or if you have any other comments that you have during the show, go ahead and leave an open mic inside the WDBO app. And now, back to David and Adam.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. You know, we really enjoy talking about different topics on the show, you know, all the time, right? So it's not just, you know, a 1 hour infomercial for my computer store. It's interesting. We try to keep the show interesting and people can, you know, listen and maybe learn something. And we were just talking about how Apple's putting the iPhone on a diet coming out, you know, here in a few days, right? They're releasing the new iPhone 17 Air.
The iPhone Ozempic.
That's right. And, you know, if you missed any of that conversation, and, you know, we talked a lot about what's involved with that, compared it to the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Max that's also coming out. We talked about the new Mac operating system for if you have a MacBook. So if you miss any of that, you can go to refreshcomputers.net, click on that podcast link right there at the top of the page, and you can listen to this show in its entirety. It's about 41 minutes long without commercials. So let's talk a little bit here. We have a few minutes. You know, I love Grok. And
I do too. I've been turned to Grok recently instead of ChatGPT.
It is just more innovative. Elon's doing such a great job. And, you know, and Elon has the mindset, I can't be beat. You know, he just has that mindset, and he goes. He's 100% going, and getting stuff done. And so, you know, Grok, I experimented. I talked a couple of weeks ago about experimenting with, you know, putting a photo of my wife and I out on a boat on the Maiden of the Mist at Niagara Falls. It's just a still shot, and I told Grok to animate it, and it made this really cool 6 or 7 second video, and it even got the back of my head. It did all, you know, and we gave each other a kiss in the video, and it was just like, wow, that's just amazing stuff. So what else is going on, Adam?
So
with
the main thing with Grok right now, and this surprised me a little bit because not a lot of AI developers do this right now, is XAI, the company that technically has made Grok, has actually started providing older versions of Grok to be open source. So what does that mean? It means anybody in the world can download the code that made Grok and basically transform it into a variation of their own Grok. They can give it its own prompt, tell it what it is and what it's supposed to do, and, you know, just using the backbone of that Grok code, even the old Grok code, people can build just numerous things out of it.
I see, like, call centers maybe using this.
I could definitely see something like that,
to build some kind of automatic responses, because that's already going on.
Yeah.
I will say several years ago, I'm going more than 10 years now, and my daughter worked for a company for a little while, and it just made her sick, so she stopped. It was a call center, and she answered. All she had to do was push buttons, and it would automatically give another person's response. And it's like you're talking to a robot, because you were talking to a robot, but they try to make it as human-like as possible. And for some reason, that just gave her the creeps. She didn't know that was going to be what she was going to be doing.
That would give me the creeps.
And so she just stopped. And so this will be able to do a more automated version of that, which is actually going on right now. You when you call a call center today, it sounds really good. It sounds like it's a real person there. And you ask it questions and it answers you. And a lot of times you're talking to a robot and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
You're just talking to an AI generated voice that was programmed to listen to what you have to say and instantaneously come up with a response based on preset information that it's programmed.
See, I've seen things like that at drive-thrus recently, like pulling up to Taco Bell. It's just a fully automated thing. There's not a person behind it. You tell it what you want to order. It fills up the whole order, and you just pull up to the window.
Checkers rolled that out around a year and a half ago.
So it's a voice that comes out. So at least I think I've experienced that myself, and at least it sounds like it's probably not a real person.
Right.
So if they can make it when they make it sound more real, like a real person, that's when it really creeps me out.
That's when it's going to be a real problem, too, because then I'm going to be arguing with the drive-thru. If you've had an experience with any of these AI drive-thrus, let us know. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO, 107.3 FM and AM 580. Welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO, 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes, sitting here with technician Adam Littlefield from the Refresh Computer Superstore. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. And if you have any other comments during the show, go and leave an open mic inside the WDBO app. You can also check out the website over at refreshcomputers.net or stop in at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you're listening to the show here on Saturday, it means you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now, Adam Littlefield. I know we had David earlier.
Yeah, we had him for a little bit there.
David had a hair appointment, apparently. So
I know. He's got to go and get nice and just cut up there for
right. You got to get it all
something.
nice and cleaned up. So, but we've still got Adam here, and we're going to talk some great deals for computers because, as we know, Windows 10 is ending very, very soon for most users. So.
Yes, and if you're listening on Sunday from our 8 to 9 a.m. slot that we have, if you're listening Sunday, you've got now a month from that time right there, a month. October 14th is going to be that deadline that Windows 10 support is going to be dropped. So if you've got, a requirement to replace your computer, if you think you have to replace it, give us a call at the store, 407-478-8200. We can kind of go through real quick, try to help you figure out the information that we would need to know if your computer can support Windows 10 or Windows 11. If it can't, then we can maybe try to find you an option that'd be a good replacement. And all of our computers, all of our inventory is also available on our website. refreshcomputers.net. You get a live inventory there, so if we sell the last of something from our storefront right there, it'll remove itself off of the website. So,
and at least for the time being, that Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrade is a free upgrade from Windows, at least for now. That's not guaranteed after this October 14th cutoff date, that right?
Exactly, yeah. So with as I've seen with older versions of Windows, after the support is dropped, Microsoft does start charging an upgrade fee to go from that older version to the newest one. So I don't know if October 14th is going to be that date that they do that. Maybe the end of the year is when they do that.
We don't even know if Bill Gates knows that.
Exactly. So right now, what I do know is that October 14th support will be dropped, and you want to replace your computer sooner rather than later, just so you can get that just done and over with, so you don't have to stress about that. Because the major thing that the stress comes with that is going to be your security at the end of the day. So I'm going to go over a couple of our super deals that we have right now. All of these, again, are available on our website. So if you hear a laptop at a price point that you just can't beat, you want to have that one, you can look up the laptop on our website by that name. You can buy it entirely through the website and either can choose in-store pickup, or we'll just get it ready and hold it for you, or we can ship it out to you anywhere in the continental United States. So I'm going to kick it off here with one of our smaller HP Chromebooks that we have. It's a 11-inch Chromebook, the Chromebook 11 G7. So this little system, it's running Chrome OS. So this is actually not a Windows machine at all. It's running a specific Google-made operating system that, as I've seen, these Chromebooks get extremely great battery life on them. They're small, they're lightweight, so they're really good for just something you just really need a basic internet access for, maybe a kid going to school. They're doing virtual school maybe, I've seen before. So we've got these right now for $49.99. You really can't beat that for something for quick and easy.
You can't find binders for that kind of price, so much less a working, small, easy-to-use laptop. So
exactly, and that's exactly what these Chromebooks are just kind of good for, is just the small, easy use. So what if you need something that's got a little bit more power in it? You've got some programs maybe that you're running for work that can't run in Chrome OS, because Chrome OS does have some requirements on what can be installed onto it. So this is going to be one of our best-selling Windows 11 laptops we have right now is the Lenovo ThinkPad X13. So this laptop comes with an i5 10th generation processor, so it's not too old at all. We put a new 256 gigabyte solid state drive in it. That's brand new from the manufacturer. We go through, get that put in there. That's one of the major components that you would have to worry about too in a computer is the storage device. So we go through, we replace that so you don't have to worry about data loss with the laptop. Brand new 256 gigabyte SSD on that with Windows 11 Pro for $299.99. And this laptop right here, I think, retails for around $900 to $1,000 brand new. So the $300 price mark right there, that already makes it a steal. You know,
in a lot of people's mind, the ThinkPad is the original business class laptop, right? So
Yeah.
to be able to get something like that at that value is a great deal.
Yeah, and that's the thing is with all of these machines being business class models, they are just built better. And that's exactly, what I think of when I think of ThinkPad, because I go back in my mind to the school. When I was in high school and middle school, teachers wheeled out the little laptop cart filled with ThinkPads. Those things were beat up. They had marks on them that I couldn't even begin to think what caused them, but they still ran absolutely great.
Exactly. That's it, and that's what they're built to do and made to do. So if you got a rough setting that you're in, maybe that's the one that you kind of might want to lean towards.
Exactly. So we've also got a nice Dell Latitude 5400. This is a 14-inch laptop, so it's just a little bit larger than the ThinkPad that I was just talking about. The 5400, the Latitude 5400, that comes with an i7 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and again, that new 256 gigabyte solid-state drive with Windows 11 Pro for just $319.99. So a little bit extra screen space, $20 extra. I would say that's absolutely worth it. 14-inch laptops are retailing around $1,100, I'd say, right now, brand new. And this Dell Latitude, again, that's the business class model. So this is the model you want to be getting from Dell. This is the one you're going to see out of it 6 to 8 years, if not more than that, really. So we also have a larger laptop here. This one's going to be not only larger than the 5400, but it also has a really new processor in it compared to the 5400. So we're looking at the Latitude 3520. It's an i5 11th generation processor. So that only makes this laptop about 2 or 3 years old. The 5400 about 4 or 5.
Right? So
exactly.
14, so that's not too old at all.
No, it's not. So this 3520, this is one of my favorite laptops we have right now because if you're looking at a mix of the power of it compared to the size of it and just the quality, this, I would say, is going to be the one that 99% of people, I would say, if you want a laptop that's going to last you, the 3520 is going to be it. The processor alone kind of just makes that just future-proof for you already. But since this is a 15-inch laptop, this one actually has the full-size keyboard with it, including that number pad on the right-hand side. And I've had some customers before looking at laptops, and they will not buy one unless it's got that keypad on the side. So that's something that just all of us kind of gotten used to seeing. If you see a 13 or 14-inch laptop now, you look at the keyboard, it'll look a little different once you start thinking about it.
I so prefer to have that keypad there.
I do as well.
It's a buying point for me as well as my wife, even when we purchased our most recent laptops. So
yeah, that full-size keyboard, it's important to some people, and I understand that. And that's why this 3520, it's going to be the best bang for your buck at $499.99. For the age of it, this thing is probably $1,500 new. So definitely super, super deal on that one. I've also got in stock right now a couple Apple MacBook Pros. Those are the 13-inch MacBook Pros. These are the Intel models, so they come with the i5 processor in them. 16 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage. These are the models that have the touch bar at the top. So if you're an Apple fan, you liked that touch bar design, we do have a couple of these in stock right now. And these are coming preloaded with macOS Sequoia. So the latest version as of right now. Give it a couple days, Tahoe will be out, and then we'll have to see all devices go into that one next.
Right. And it was always so funny to me that that touch bar was so controversial between certain Apple fans. Some loved it, some absolutely hated it. It seemed like there was no in between. But.
And, the way I look at it, I like it because what it does show on the touch bar as far as options go, those are things that if I'm working on that laptop, you have to move the mouse all the way across the screen to hit that. You've got the touch bar that just, buttons are appearing before you that you need. So... And me personally as well, I always like just the controls that it gives you. Just a little bit more, So that MacBook Pro, that 13-inch MacBook Pro we have right now, again, it's at the same price as the 3520 I just talked about, $499.99. And that's a steal for an Apple device of this age, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get into the desktops a little bit. We've got a couple different desktops in stock right now. Some that are going to be a little lightweight for just easy use. We've got others that are going to just be the end-all, be-all, do everything you want for the next 6 to 8 years. So starting off at the lower end, we've got the Optiplex 7070 Micro. So this is one of the small, really small form factor ones. I'm talking ones that are, maybe... Oh, I can't even think of the size to compare them to. They are small machines. They kind of look like a Mac Mini, if anybody's ever seen one of those before. Little Mac Mini. So this Optiplex 7070 Micro comes with an i5 9th generation processor, and I've seen these before, actually. People are mounting them to the back of their monitors now, so they entirely can hide the computer element and just have it all connected up there. Cables are nice and hidden. You don't really have to think about it being there.
I've heard these being a great use for making your home TV a kind of just a PC center when you do need it for that. So.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that actually, instead of using cable television, they want to use streaming services, and they'll actually set up one of these micro PCs to run a large desktop on their large screen TV, but they can get Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, just all those streaming services in a desktop environment, which honestly runs a little bit better than most smart TVs do.
Absolutely. No, the smart TVs are so limited in their memory capacity and things like that. You bring in a full actual computer to that fold. It makes it so much easier to navigate.
Exactly. So we've got these 7070 Micros right now. They're compatible with Windows 11 Pro for just $219.99. And that's a super deal for these little micro machines, because if you come in store and you actually look at the size of it, I've had so many customers go, "Is that a computer? There's no way that's a computer. That is way too tiny." And, it just has its own external power supply. That's where most of the size went, was the power supply. So super, super deal on that for just almost any use I can think of as far as just a computer that just sits there and works. So we've also got a good desktop right now. We've got a couple good desktops. We got the Dell Optiplex 5060 small form factor. That comes with an i5 8th generation processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 256 gigabytes, that new solid-state storage, with Windows 11 Pro for just $249.99. Now, I was talking about the Micro that can do, your everyday media consumption, or just maybe running like a POS, for example, at a restaurant. This 5060 is going to be what I would say 90% of customers that we have come in is going to need. $250. This desktop you can do your web browsing on, you can do all of your online shopping, your banking, all of that. This machine can handle all of that and more, really, for just $249.99. And, I don't really think you can beat that, honestly, for a machine that's just going to just last you that 6 to 8 years.
Yep. No, like you said, this handles nearly everything that you could have to do in a day-to-day kind of form.
Yeah. So maybe you need something that's going to be a little bit newer, has a little bit more processing power. We've got the older sibling of the Dell Optiplex 5060. This is the Dell Optiplex 5080. It's another one of those small form factor machines. It's an i7 10th generation processor, so newer processor on it, and it's an i7. So the difference between i5 and i7 as far as processing goes, i7s, they just run a little bit more faster. They're able to handle more processes at once, so if you're multitasking, definitely, that's where this is going to kind of come into play, because RAM is one thing for multitasking, but when you're using multiple programs, a stronger processor is definitely going to kind of put you a leg ahead.
Yeah, especially if you've got maybe like a 2-screen setup and you have two programs running at the same time that you need to have running at the same time.
And so this system, that same 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of solid-state storage with Windows 11 Pro for just $439.99. And I know for this 5080 specifically, brand new, their bare bones model is brand new about $1,000 right now. So that's got half the RAM, half the storage of this one with the same processor. So $439.99, that's a deal that's going to be lasting you a long time. So we've also got a nice all-in-one machine right now, and all-in-one machines I call our easy machine. It's that machine that you plug in a power cable, keyboard, and mouse. That's it. It's good to go. You're running. So this is the Dell Optiplex 5490. It's a 24-inch all-in-one, so the screen size is 24 inches. Comes with an i5 10th generation processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 256 gigabytes of solid-state storage with Windows 11 Pro for just $449.99. And the nice thing with these all-in-one machines is there's a very bad standard issue right now for monitor connectors. I think there are about 5 or 6 different connectors right now. And if your monitor has one connector and your computer had another, now you're having to look at adapter cables. You're having to think further into that. With these all-in-one units, they just kind of take the stress out of that. The computer's inside the monitor. It's connected already. Keyboard and mouse, bing, bang, boom. You're good to go. That's it.
You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with technician Adam Littlefield of the Refresh Computer Superstore. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200, or you can check out their website over at refreshcomputers.net. And now, back to Adam for the Business Spotlight.
Yes, the Business Spotlight, Dave and I's favorite spotlight of the show. So this is where we just get to call out some businesses that have done business with Refresh Computers in the past week. Just kind of give a little bit of recognition that, they put their trust in us. We can put our trust in them as well. Two-way street on that. So I'm going to start with Letratech. They came by and purchased one of our Dell Optiplex 5060 systems. That was one of the desktop systems I was mentioning back in our deals spotlight earlier. So they came by and purchased one of those for their office. We also had Family Chiropractic of Central Florida, came by and purchased one of our genuine Apple USB keyboards for their iMac computer. And that's one of the many genuine items we sell in stores. We sell genuine Apple devices, genuine Dell, as far as, keyboards and mice, chargers, you name it, we have genuine devices, because genuine is always the way you want to go as far as these devices go. Third-party stuff is really just
it can be so hit or miss.
A shot in the dark, exactly. Yeah. So we also had Punkan Pines Nursery. They came by and purchased one of those Dell Optiplex 5060 systems as well. We also had Killarney Contractors Incorporated. They purchased one of our Dell Optiplex 5070 mid-tower systems, so a little bit larger than the small form factors. And they also had us do a 16-gigabyte RAM upgrade on that to bring it up to 32 gigabytes of RAM.
What are some of the advantages over maybe that mid-tower system over those small form factors we talked about earlier?
The main thing I say is space. You have more space for adding some more expansion drives. I've seen people put discrete graphics cards into them before that can fit into these size towers that the small form factors, you really can't squeeze much more into them than what they've got already. We've also had Green Star Lawn and Garden. They had us reinstall Windows on one of their computers, and they also purchased a new drive from us to put that Windows onto, so we got that going for them. Nice, fast computer again. We also had Family Realty Properties, LLC. They purchased one of those 5060 Optiplex systems from earlier, and they actually went ahead and had to get some adapter cables for their monitor. They were reusing an old one, and it had a standard that the 5060 did not have.
And we talked a little bit about that in the last segment as well. Just why are there so many different monitor cables right now?
See, that's the thing, is monitors last a long time. Right. They just tend to. And that is showing now that connectors that were used 10, 15 years ago are still being used on these monitors because they're still working, but now a lot of computers are moving to a single standard called DisplayPort. So a lot of computers now have to have a DisplayPort to VGA or DisplayPort to DVI or HDMI adapter in order to be able to plug into that monitor correctly.
And the great thing is you have all of those adapters available in store.
Yes, we have all of them available in store, all different kinds of adapters to go basically which way you need to go for the adaption. We also had Prussia Technology Solutions. They purchased 3 of our Dell Optiplex 7090 desktop systems, kind of future-proofing their office, getting moved away from Windows 10 there.
And that's one of the great things about having so many of these types of desktops in stock in the store. You've got small companies that come to you because you have the availability to be able to bring them in. You also offer that install at the office if they need it, right?
We do, yeah. We do provide on-site services, and, we've had business come in by 15, 20 computers at a time, schedule a time for us to come out. We deliver it to them, unload them, help them get everything just kind of connected and everything. So that is a service that we do offer, and speaking of that service, we also had Michigan Pump actually had us come out on site for them, and we actually diagnosed a communication issue. A couple of their workstations were communicating to their central file server, so they were kind of disconnected really from all of their important documents they needed. And then we also had Specialized Space Mods. They purchased one of those Dell Optiplex 7080 small form factor systems that we have just a lot of right now. So I think we're getting to the end of our time now. So if you missed any of this show, go to the website, refreshcomputers.net, click on that podcast link, listen to all the information we talked about earlier, all the deals, and check out the website store as well. We've got all of our inventory there. This has been Adam Littlefield. I hope to be speaking to you guys again next week.